So this week we discussed the duty to believe according to evidence. In Blaise Pascal's The Wager, he discusses the choice of believing in God or not by metaphorically relating it to a game. You're part of the game and you get to choose if you want to win or to lose. He says, follow the way by which they set out, acting as if they already believe, taking holy water, having masses said, etc. Even this will naturally cause you to believe. This means that Pascal also mentioned that overcoming disbelief by acting as if you already believe. So that means that if you don't believe and you want to believe, then you have to first start acting as though you believe, going to church, praying, etc. In Alan Wood's Duty to Believe According to Evidence, he discusses how believing in such things as like the Holocaust actually happened because there is factual evidence that it did. We have a duty to believe in that because we have a duty to believe in general because there is evidence that God exists, but not just because we heard someone say that he does or he doesn't. The evidentialist principle is choosing to believe by evidence that supports your belief. He says both content and procedural. Why can't I talk? He says both content and procedural obligations to believe at least make sense and easily survive the objection that belief isn't a matter for morality because it is involuntary. This means that believing is not a choice and you do it without thinking. Believe. In Fabio Lambert's Can We Believe Without Sufficient Evidence, he discusses 3 famous philosophical arguments that support his argument for believing in God is a rational choice based on evidence with regard to evidence for not believing as well. He sees both sides of the picture. He also believes that choosing to believe in God is not a basic belief like 1 + 1 = 2. In choosing to believe in whatever you do, you have to remain firm in your choice, in your argument, even though there is supporting evidence for both sides. He says, but if he remains convinced of the truth of Christianity, considering those arguments not so impressive and in fact answering them. So therefore we can say that he is rational in sustaining his belief. Lambert wants you to be rational in sustaining your belief. So if you believe that God exists, believe that God exists and act that way. If you don't believe that God exists, you don't believe that God exists and act that way. Personally, I think that blindly believing in something can either contain evidence or not. For example, someone who can fully believe on the existence of God based on personal experiences they've had with him is their choice, and it's easier to believe in God if you've had experience with him. Or even someone can be an atheist based on the lack of experience of God. But I think the root of this is that it's whatever choice I think it's a choice. If you change your perspective and say, I believe in God, so this is how I'm going to see this situation. I don't believe in God, so I'm going to choose how to see this situation. The same situation, just 2 different perspectives. I think it's acceptable to believe just on faith alone. However, learning the evidence that supports your belief is helpful because it gives reason to support even when it feels impossible to believe. This evidence can be personal experiences or scholarly studies, but I think people who blindly believe need to stick to what they believe and follow it and know the full extent of what they believe, not just random ideas put together into one. If you believe one way or the other, it should affect your actions. You are still a human being who needs to behave like the friendly atheist and be polite about the way others believe. But that could just be the Southern comfort in me. But I think that everyone deserves to be treated with love and kindness regardless of what they believe.